Hey, horror TV fans, Board Now and Rachel McDonald back with you. And we return to The Haunting of Hill House, episode 7 now. It's called Eulogy. And this is actually a Who sort of focused episode this time. So in the previous episode, we kind of had the run up to the funeral, to Nell's funeral, and the night before, and there was obviously a lot of big drama with the characters being in the same room for the first time in years. So this one is actually set on the day of the funeral type thing, and it's from Who's sort of perspective, and we also get quite a big role for kind of the spirit of the mother, or at least she's appearing to him and she's kind of giving him advice on how to handle his relationship with the various kids. So it's almost like his point of view, but going through the various siblings. And we also get some more stuff from Hill House in the past and stuff that's going on with because the fallout from the storm sort of thing, and them looking into the plumbing of the walls and some weird stuff going on with that, but also stuff where he starts to realize then maybe it's Olivia starting to lose a grip a little bit, stuff to do with her doing weird sort of plans and what have you for their house and stuff like that. So what did you think of this one?
So obviously leading up to this, we've had some very highly emotional scenes and emotional episodes. And even though this one obviously does still have the emotion, it felt a little bit more like a breather. We got, emotions were really running high in the previous episode. Everyone's kind of calmed down a bit for the funeral. I think this was a very solid episode, maybe not as intense or as inventive as some of the previous episodes we've seen, but I really did like getting to see some of Hugh's perspective, especially adult Hugh. So as you mentioned, he kind of carries the ghost of his wife with her. Again, it's kind of played out in a way of, is he really seeing her? Is she really there? Or is she just kind of his conscience? Especially when you hear a lot of the things that I find it very interesting that she's almost like his inner Jiminy Cricket, she's there to kind of advise him, as he's talking to his siblings, no, not to his siblings, to his children. She's, giving him advice. At one point in time, he tries to broach something with Shirley and she's like, no, don't say it, don't do it. You're stepping into quicksand here. That this is going to upset people. When he tries to congratulate Luke on his sobriety, Olivia's there to say he doesn't want this to be about him. It's like she's his inner voice to kind of guide him and tell him. It's almost like he's keeping her with him as a comfort, And again, you don't know if she's real or not, but he does make mention to Luke in the episode about seeing things and how, obviously because he knows that the house is malevolent and he knows that these things exist, he is able to, it's that kind of whole, again, is it real? Is it not real? I also like seeing younger Hugh, and you get to see that one of his things is he likes to fix things. And that's a recurrent theme in this episode is of Hugh saying, I can fix it. I can fix it. And obviously he feels a failure at not being able to fix the final night and what happened and not being able to fix his children and fix their relationships. And I think it's really interesting to see from his point of view, him trying to reconnect with his children. We see a scene with him and Theo where she acknowledges that he actually has tried in the past and that they've shut him out, and she apologizes and said, I should have tried harder. We see a couple of scenes with him and Luke. There's a really, really cute scene where they're talking about Theo's sexuality and Luke is all like, did you hear about the wedding? Because that's obviously where she came out to her siblings. And Hugh's like, oh yeah, we always knew. Your mum guessed when she was 8. We knew. Yeah. And you see kind of his look from Luke, like he smiles, but it's very sad because it shows how well Hugh and Olivia knew their children before Hill House disrupted their lives. At one point in time, Hugh was such a good dad and he knew his kids so well. And it's really sad to see the distance that has sprung up between them since the childhood to now. We've seen how Hill House has affected all the kids. So it's very interesting to see how it's affected Hugh and what it's done to him. And of course, we get more hints of what happened that night. The episode opens with younger Hugh being in an interrogation room and the policeman playing good cop bad cop and trying to figure out what happened with his wife. Why did he wait 3 hours to call the police? All of these answers that they mentioned something about another body, and we don't quite know what that is. So we are getting all these little hints about what happened that night and more build up. And obviously in this episode, we see the house, like you said, start to get to Olivia. She starts to act, as Mr. Dudley says, spacey and scattered. And we get that really heartbreaking story from Mr. Dudley about how he and his wife had a stillborn daughter, and how his wife started to hear the daughter crying at Hill House, and how he started to hear it, and that's why they don't come there at night. So I think that this episode's really good at laying down the foundation for the eventual reveal that we're going to get as to what happened that night and what exactly Hugh has been covering all this time. So I thought this episode was really good in regards to just giving us a little breather from all of the intensity that we've had recently, and just kind of step back a little bit, show us a little bit of Hugh, show us a little bit of the house, the after effects of the storm. And I think it does a really good job at showing Hugh's character both then and now. What about you? How did you find this episode?
Yeah, pretty solid. I think if you're weighing it up over the season, it probably is a slightly lesser one, but I think it's still really solid and some good drama. I think definitely some good stuff in the past with Who. There's certain moments of humour I quite appreciated as well, when Who kind of goes a bit OTT, but I enjoyed it. I quite like him saying, "You little shits are gonna die now," about the
to the rats.
the rats. That's pretty funny because he's got like the poison out, and there's little moments of humour, which obviously maybe you don't get in all the episodes. So I did appreciate that in this, but there's some good stuff with Who, and it's definitely some important backstory, like the story that Mr. Dudley sort of like tells, and it sort of paints quite a good picture of some of the stuff that we've had hints of in other episodes, that maybe sort of just gives you a bit more background on that. And I did enjoy the presence of Olivia like appearing to him throughout the episode, because I think there's one scene where they're in a car. Is it with Stephen? Stephen's driving.
I think he's with Shirley. I think he's driving with Shirley, and Olivia's in the back seat, or at least the spirit. Is that the one where you're talking about? And he's kind of looking at her in the rearview mirror. Yeah, that's when they're driving to the burial.
Yeah, that's like a nice bit of direction, because obviously you've got her in the back mirror and they're in like the front seat, and I just enjoy her making certain comments like just advising him, say, "Oh, don't say that. He or she's not going to take that the right way," sort of thing. So it sort of makes sense because of them being like husband and wife kind of thing. So it's almost like even from the grave, she's still giving him tips on how to approach his children. So I thought it was a good episode from that point of view, from her presence. I did like that sort of device. Again, it's okay.
Yeah, sorry, they're being little shits this morning. Sorry.
Relationship with the siblings and how some of them are a bit more forgiving of what happened in the past than others. I mean, Sherry is kind of her stellar self in this. She's very shut off and trying to do stuff herself and trying to shut others out. Obviously, it's the fallout from the reveal of the last episode where she's obviously found out about her husband, and she's very cold to certain people in this. The way she's like talking to them as customers, almost, it's like, well, as far as you're concerned, we're shut for business, sort of thing. So.
Cuts him out. You see the ghost of Olivia, and she's like, ever since she was young, remember, Shirley needs, and Hugh's like, her Shirley space. So again, it shows how even though he has been estranged from his kids, there are certain traits and things that were unique to them that he still remembers, because he was such a good father for so long. And I think that's one of the saddest aspects of this series as a whole, is to see this father who loved his kids so much and was so good with his kids become so estranged from them and have to, hide this horrible truth from them, to the point that it's broken down his relationship with all of them, when when we see younger Hugh, he's such a good dad. You know, he's so caring and he knows his kids so well, and they obviously love him and adore him. I love the scenes with him and younger Steve, how Steven wants to like help him, and then there's that horrible instance where he unplugs the fan, but the house plugs it back in, and poor Hugh gets his hand in like a massive metal fan, which does not look pleasant. But like even then, when he thinks that, when Steven's messed up, he's like, "It's okay, son. It's all right. Look, just go back upstairs and play with your siblings. Like, I'll be okay." Like, you know, he's very good with the kids, and so it's really sad to see that he's lost that as he's gotten older. I also did find it interesting. We see Aunt Janet for the first time, the aunt that the kids went to live with, and you see that Hugh is a little bit put out by the fact that she's there, and Olivia's ghost has to kind of remind him she did raise them, you know, like Olivia's ghost you know, say to him, you know, she raised him, because she swoops in and she's like, "Oh, my baby," and Hugh's just like, "Oh God." But it's like, but that's the fact of the matter is, especially with Luke and Nell, they were so young when they went to live with their aunt, it was pretty much as if she did raise them. So I find that interesting that they show how that dynamic works, and how Hugh is a bit put out, but part of him also knows that, well, she did partially raise them after everything that happened. But obviously he's their dad, so he would be a little bit put out of joint by the fact that, like, his nose would be out of joint by the fact that she swooped in and is all like, "Oh, my baby." So I kind of like that angle as well.
I think that's something which is quite true to life, where I think you do have that a bit of resentment and regret, and especially if you see someone else who probably did like raise them, and in a way they know better than they know you, and it's just that sense of that time then you can't really get back. I mean, all you can do is try and make the most of the future in a way, and what you've got with them now. But there is, I think, for a parent there must be a sense of, you know, lost time, and because in some ways those sorts of years are like the most crucial, just in terms of guiding them, molding them, kind of thing. So I think that hits on the nerve, and probably quite a real sort of feeling sometimes.
This series, I love this series so much. Just the way that you see how this house has just affected their lives and everything that happened in it, and just the way it's just spread out. You know, we get hints of other things that are going on in this episode. You see Steve's ex-wife there, and we obviously, you know, they're separated, and there's hints that that stuff is going on there. And of course, you know, you've got Theo and Shirley are now fighting because of whatever happened between Theo and Shirley's husband. Shirley and her husband are fighting. So again, this kind of event that originally brought them together is kind of tearing them apart again, and it's just really sad. You mentioned, so this is going to be a bit of a random segue, but you mentioned humor in this one, and I wanted to mention one scene that I actually found quite funny and also a little cute. Theo is hungover, and Luke is all like, "Oh, just, you know, mix tomato juice and beer and power that down." And she's like, "What?" He's like, "For the hangover, it works." And she's like, "Does that work?" And he's like, "Well," and he's like, "Not as much as a shot of smack." And she's like, "So you're telling me the best cure for a hangover is heroin?" And he's like, "Oh, like you wouldn't believe." And I like that little moment, because I think it was kind of cute in showing that, you know, Luke is getting comfortable with discussing his drug addiction because he's sober now, and you know, you have this little moment between the family there. So it's like a little bit of a humor moment, but also a little bit of a moment showing them bond a little bit. I thought that was kind of cute. And I just kind of, like the response of like, you know, the best hangover cure is heroin. Nice touch, I thought that was kind of a cute moment between them.
Yeah, I might have actually missed that. I sort of vaguely remember it, because I remember some sort of line like that. But yeah, no, that's a fun sibling moment, and with Luke, and that's the scene where they basically think that he's stolen Sherry's. Is it her
credit
purse?
card?
Her credit card.
Yeah, her credit card and Theo's car.
Theo's car, randomly, but so that's an interesting scene. Like, I didn't know how to take that. I mean, obviously part of the drama of it is then the father kind of already knows, because the Olivia has sort of seen it and he's seen it, and it's that sort of thing where, again, maybe he doesn't want to say something straight out because he doesn't want to rat on his son, sort of thing, and that kind of thing. So It's an
Mm.
interesting scene. It's obviously frustrating because you think, yeah, you
He's
were
gone off
doing
again.
so well, Luke. Yeah, and
Yeah.
this
And
happens.
you get a glimpse of like the siblings, and like this is obviously something that has happened before, him stealing from them. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic and an interesting scene to see. And I really like that Olivia's ghost points out, or whatever he's seeing points out to Hugh, you're not doing him any favors by staying silent. I know you want to protect him, but
Yeah,
that's not going to help him. So yeah, it is that is definitely an interesting scene at the end, and it'll be interesting to see, where it ends up leading to, what Luke has actually gone off to do. But they've
yeah.
all obviously been through this before. And there's another interesting thing that Hugh mentions. He mentions that at one point Luke was living in Shirley's granny flat. He when he visits
Okay.
Theo there. So again, that's another example of like Shirley helping Luke, and it kind of helps you understand her attitude towards him, that she's paid for his rehab, she's let him live with her, there's all this stuff that she's done for him, and he's obviously thrown it back in her face again and again. So, and then that adds to that end scene when he steals her credit, or at least, they think that he's stolen her credit card to go buy drugs. It explains why she's so quick to like believe that that's what he's gone to do, because there have been so many times that she's been burned by him before. And again, that goes back to all the discussions that we've had surrounding Luke of addiction is an illness, but he also has to take responsibility for his actions. So I think that the fact that that theme just keeps going throughout the whole series,
Hmm.
it's not like one of those like episodes of the week, like, we see Luke with his drug addiction, but it's never mentioned again. It's an ongoing theme in the show that Luke's drug addiction has caused problems in his family and has caused trust issues and has
Yeah.
caused rifts. And I think it's very cool the way the show keeps reminding us of that, showing that it is an ongoing thing and trust has to be rebuilt. And even though he's sober now, he's still got years and years of like damage to make up for. So I think it's very good that they keep that theme going in the series and don't gloss over the seriousness of addiction and what it does to a person and to a person's family. Because again, this is very much, we've talked about how this show is like a jigsaw puzzle and you keep getting little pieces, but eventually you have to put together. There is a scene at the burial where Luke goes to throw a handful of dirt on the coffin, and he looks up and he sees Nell. He sees Nell's ghost standing there, and she says, "No, go," or "don't," or something. And then he looks down into the grave, and the ghost of his mother is there trying to pull him into the grave with her. And I think again, it seems insignificant in this episode, and Steve kind of pulls him away, and then you see Steve go off about how mental illness is a curse and their family is cursed with it and they need to be vigilant and watch out for it. But keep that scene in mind, because it will become significant later on. So again, it's like the
Okay.
jigsaw pieces kind of falling into place, and this is another piece we've got that there will be a payoff in the end. So the show is just so brilliant. Like even in this episode, like I didn't find this episode maybe as strong as some of the other episodes that we've seen, but it definitely has elements and hints and pieces for us to put
Which
together
are gonna,
as the
yeah,
series go on.
pay off
Yeah,
later. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. It's still a high standard, still a really enjoyable episode with lots of nice little character stuff. Because obviously in this one they are jumping about the characters quite a lot, and the
Yeah.
perspective from the father, and definitely the Olivia stuff is really good stuff. So
Hmm.
and one or two like horror elements quite
Yeah.
nicely worked in. So yeah, that's the latest Hill House, episode 7. So we enjoy it a fair bit. So let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you're following this along with us. Like and subscribe as always. Share us out on social media. You can also check out Rachel's channel. I'll put the link in the description. So we recently did a Halloween franchise ranking videos, for example, which you can find over on her channel, and she also does video essays on various things when it comes to TV and films. Just a heads up, because when we finish Hill House, we will be moving on to another show, and that'll be Stranger Things. We've decided, because one of our followers, Becca, suggested doing that, and because season 4 is out next year, I think it's a good time to sort of catch up with the first 3 seasons. So as soon as we finish Hill House, we'll be starting on Stranger Things. So look out for those reviews if you're a fan of that show, or if you're a first time watcher. watcher of that show, maybe you can watch along with us. So that's coming up soon on the channel. But yeah, thanks for listening. We'll be back with more Hill House soon. Take care and bye.